Welcome to the Wisdom That Breathes channel. Across all our platforms, we try to share wisdom which is relevant and accessible to everyone. But on this particular platform, we go deeper into some of the ancient principles found within the scriptures. If you find some of the terminology difficult or inaccessible, then go over to our Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll be able to find other content which is perhaps more relatable. Thank you and enjoy the wisdom that breathes. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiram Vanachariya Yamuna Tira Vanachariya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Om Agyanatimirandhasya ज्ञानञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की। Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming this morning. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 4, Chapter number 15, entitled King Prithu's Appearance and Coronation. And today we're reading from text number 23. Tasmat parokshe smadupashrutanyalam kares yathashtotramapechya vacha Satyuttama shloka gunanuvade Jugopshitam nastavayanti sabhya Tasmat parokshe smadupashrutanyalam Kares yathashtotramapechya vacha Satyuttama shloka gunanuvade Jugupshitam nastavayanti sabhya Tasmat parokshe smadupashrutanyalam Kareshyatastotramapechya vacha Satyuttama shloka gunanuvade Jugupshitam nastavayanti sabhya Tasmat parokshme smadupashrutanyalam gunanuvade parokshe smadupashrutanyalam Stotramapechya vacha Gunanuvade Uttama shloka gunanuvade Jugupshitam nastavayanti sabhya Tasmat parokshe smadupashrutanyalam Kareshyatastotramapechya vacha Uttama shloka gunanavade Tasmat, therefore, Parokshe, in some future time, Asmat, my, Upashrutani, about the qualities spoken of, Alam, sufficiently, Karishyata, you will be able to offer, Stotram, prayers, Apijyavachaha, O gentle reciters, Sati, being the proper engagement, Uttama Shloka, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Guna, of the qualities, Anuvade, discussion, Jugupshitam, to an abominable person, Na, never, Stavayanti, offer prayers, Sabhya, persons who are gentle. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. O gentle reciters, offer such prayers in due course of time, when the qualities of which you have spoken actually manifest themselves in me. The gentle who offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead do not attribute such qualities to a human being who does not actually have them. Purport. Gentle devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead know perfectly well who is God and who is not. Non-devotee impersonalists, however, who have no idea what God is and who never offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are always interested in accepting a human being as God and offering such prayers to Him. This is the difference between a devotee and a demon. Demons manufacture their own gods, or a demon himself claims to be God, following in the footsteps of Ravana and Hiranyakashipu. Although Prithu Maharaj was factually an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he rejected those praises because the qualities of the Supreme Person were not yet manifest in him. He wanted to stress that one who does not actually possess these qualities should not try to engage his followers and devotees in offering him glory for them, even though these qualities might be manifest in the future. If a man who does not factually possess the attributes of a great personality engages his followers in praising him with the expectation that such attributes will develop in the future, that sort of praise is actually an insult. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Before I begin, I just offer my respects and my request for permission from all of my seniors here. Try to represent Srila Prabhupada's teachings appropriately. Here the bards are beginning to glorify Prithu Maharaj. They naturally have an affinity towards him. They're naturally attracted by his leadership. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that people worship God for different reasons. Some worship God because of bhaya, fear. Higher than that, people worship God because of asha. They want something. A house by the sea, a color TV. Higher than that, people worship God because kartavya. They feel a sense of duty. But the highest and most purest type of following of God is when we worship out of prema, love. Very, very interestingly, people will also follow leaders on these levels. Some people simply follow a leader because they're scared. If you don't toe the line, then what will happen? Therefore, some people follow a leader out of fear. Some people follow a leader because they're interested in what they'll get from that leader. Some people follow a leader because they feel obliged. But some people will follow a leader because they're actually captured by their personality. The highest leadership is not when people follow you because of your power. The highest leadership is not when people follow you because of your position, your productivity, or even your popularity. The highest type of leadership is when people follow you because they love you, because they are captured by your purity, because they see the sincerity of your motivation. One time someone said to Srila Prabhupada, everyone loves you. And Prabhupada said, because I love them. That is real leadership. Leadership is based on influence. You can't be a leader if you can't influence people. But real influence is based on relationship. And relationship is based on love. And therefore the biggest influencer in the world is not the one who has 50 million followers on Instagram. The biggest influencer in the world is the one who has love, because love is contagious, and love touches people in the deepest part of their being, and that kind of love and generosity spreads and spreads and spreads. So, we should be careful. If people are simply following us out of fear, that kind of following will neither benefit them nor benefit us. There was once an army general, and everyone was so scared of him. Every time he would turn up, they would just stand up straight. So he liked it. He liked to command that kind of respect. Demand. Anyway, one time there was a fire in the building, so then people were jumping from the top because there was a fire. So the general was on the top as well. So luckily all the cadets were down and they were holding the net. So everyone was jumping and they were saved by the net. They told the general, jump, jump. So the general jumped, and as they saw the general coming, game over. Too much respect out of fear will kill you. A leader who tries to coerce people out of fear, the fear that people direct towards them will eventually kill them. Real leadership is leadership out of love. And therefore the Bhagavatam is so beautiful because it teaches us how to try to lead, how to try to serve others out of love. And then in the whole Bhagavatam, perhaps Prithu is the greatest example of this. And it's inevitable. Prithu Maharaj is so humble. He doesn't want any praise from the bards. But when you're pure, when you don't want any fame, know for sure that fame will follow you. There is a Vedic aphorism, Pratistadi Sada Kumari. Fame is like an unmarried girl. Why? The Vedas tell us because an unmarried girl, if there is someone who is very interested in her, not interested. But if there's someone who isn't interested in her, she runs after. In the same way, Pratistadi Sadakumari, those who want fame, those who want to be distinguished, those who want respect, adoration, adulation, it will always be elusive. But those who don't desire it, those who simply want to serve, it follows them even though they don't want it. The ideal example is Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri came to Ramuna, and as he saw the deity of Gopinath, he was thinking, wow, they're offering such nice sweet rice. If I could only offer that to my Gopal, I wonder what it tastes like. Just that thought was enough. Krishna is in the heart. He knows everything. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam. Therefore Krishna heard, and in the night Krishna told the pujari, I've saved a pot of sweet rice for Madhavendra. Go and give it to him. I said, wow, Krishna saved the pot of sweet rice? Who is Madhavendra? Where is Madhavendra Puri? The Lord has saved a pot of sweet rice for you. Madhavendra Puri was amazed. He felt so unqualified, so undeserving. And his first thought was, let me get out of this place before anyone finds out what Gopinath has done, because otherwise they're going to come and they're going to glorify me. If you're like me, you hang around as long as possible until someone says something nice. Madhavendra Puri said, let me get out of this place. Let me immediately go to Puri. And immediately he walked to Puri to get the sandalwood paste that he was initially on a mission to get. And by the time he reached Jagannath Puri, all the crowds had assembled. Because pratistadi sadakumari, you can't, fame follows one who doesn't want it. So therefore Madhavendra Puri shows us this. And Prithu Maharaj is the same. He's feeling unqualified. Why are you glorifying me for so many qualities? I don't have these qualities. Of course, in another sense, Prithu Maharaj does have these qualities, but it's his humility. It's interesting that the great devotees, they feel themselves to be very, very fallen, isn't it? Amar Jivan Sade Pape Rata Naheko Punyera Leisha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is singing about his life. Amar Jivan, my life. Sade Pape Rata is full of sin. Naheko Punyera Leisha. You can't find any bit of pious credit in it. How is it possible? It's said that the humility of a pure devotee is the reality of the conditioned soul. So, Prithu Maharaj was scared. He was scared of fame, because fame is very, very intoxicating. So many superstars have fallen down because of fame. You know how famous George Harrison was? On his 21st birthday, 7 Arctic lorries of birthday cards. You know an Arctic lorry, right? That's the biggest lorry possible. 7 lorries of birthday cards. If he would have been on social media, forget it. That's how famous George Harrison and the Beatles were. There was a whole controversy at one point because John Lennon made a statement that we are more famous than Jesus Christ. He qualified it later, but apparently the person who eventually assassinated him was a Christian who was disturbed by that statement, apparently. Fame is very, very dangerous. Therefore, how does a devotee manage it when so many people are glorifying? Prithu Maharaj is scared. So many people are glorifying me. How will I manage? What you'll actually see is that a great devotee, a humble devotee, when they receive respect, it actually deepens their humility. Why? Because when someone glorifies a humble devotee, the first thing the humble devotee remembers is all the devotees who have blessed him or her. The first thing is that when you're glorified, you can remember, I'm only who I am because of all the great Vaishnavas who smiled on me in my life. Therefore, all the praise I'm receiving is their praise because they made me who I am. I'm made of the mercy of Vaishnavas. Nobody in this world is self-made. The second thing a devotee realizes when someone glorifies them is they say this is a reflection of their glory. their magnanimity, their graciousness, their desire to encourage and inspire me. Therefore, their words deepen my appreciation for them. And the third thing is that when a humble devotee is glorified, in their mind they think, they are reminding me what I have to become. I am not this. They're so gracious with so many words, they glorify. This is what I have to become. And here Prithu Maharaj is saying, why are you glorifying me before I've become this? Isn't it? He's saying, I have to become this. You're telling me now. In the Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, text number 8 to 12, Krishna lists a series of qualities. And the first two of those qualities are amanitvam, adambitvam. Now this is very interesting, because what's the difference between amanitvam and adambitvam? Both of them actually mean devoid of pride. Damba means pride. Adambitvam means no pride. Man means pride. Amani, amanina, manadena, no pride. So the acharyas question, what is the difference between amanitvam and adambitvam? And they say there is a difference. Adambitvam, damba, means the kind of pride whereby you try to display a quality that you don't have. You advertise to the world a quality that you don't have. And they say amanitvam means when you display a quality to the world that you do have. So a devotee is amanitvam and adambitvam. They don't ever try to display to the world any quality that they don't have. And even when they have been given a good quality, they don't even try to advertise that. Because they don't want to draw any attention to themselves. So Prithu Maharaj, he's just looking at all these bards and he's saying, please don't glorify me. These words are meant for more eminent personalities than me. And so this is the kind of humility that identifies someone who is a very pure soul. I'll share with you some of Prabhupada's statements showing that Prabhupada is actually the epitome of this. Srila Prabhupada, who delivered Krishna consciousness all over the world, this is how he wrote to his disciples. I'll give you some examples. Letter, 28th June 1967, Prabhupada writes to one of his disciples, I hope you will pray to Krishna for me so that I may be able to execute my duty properly. Letter, 28th August 1976, Prabhupada writes to his own disciple, actually, I am dependent on your mercy. Letter, 22nd January 1926, Prabhupada writes to his own disciple, you cannot survive without my mercy, and I cannot survive without your mercy. It is reciprocal. This mutual dependence is based on love, Krishna consciousness. 16th December 1967, very early in the movement, Prabhupada's first initiated devotees, maybe just about a year. Prabhupada writes to one of his disciples, although officially I am your spiritual master, I consider you all as my spiritual master because your love for Krishna and service for Krishna teach me how to be a sincere Krishna conscious person. Prabhupada writes, 15th Feb 1968, on behalf of Krishna, I am accepting your sincere service, but on the whole, I am a servant of the servant of Krishna, Therefore, I may be in designation your spiritual master, but actually I am a servant of Krishna. And because you are all sincere servants of Krishna, I am your servant. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So like this more and more. This is real leadership. Real leadership is based on love. The greatest leader is the greatest servant. And therefore Prithu Maharaj and the Bhagavatam is teaching us the beauty of real leadership. It's said that when followers offer respect genuinely out of love, then that respect flows up like smoke, very natural. And when genuine leaders receive that respect, then their grace falls down like a waterfall. This is the perfect reciprocation. Real respect should flow up like smoke, and the grace which comes from the leader should flow down like a waterfall. And when this reciprocal relationship is there, amazing things can happen. When there is a genuine follower and when there is a genuine leader, then incredible things happen. Therefore you find in the Krishna consciousness movement, in Srila Prabhupada's times, how many incredible things happened because Prabhupada loved his followers and his followers loved him. And therefore amazing things happened. We live in a world now where there's such a leadership crisis. Followers question everything and leaders do questionable things. Therefore, very, very difficult for people to put trust in others. So, this must be there, the integrity of those who hold power. Prithu Maharaj is such a great person. He's showing how we can hold this power with such grace. So, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that nobody should engage others in glorifying them for qualities that they don't have. And therefore, like this, one remains grounded. And in this way, one is safe. Because if one has an inflated conception of themselves, pride cometh before the fall. And so like this we learn from Prithu Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I could say more, but I think I'll stop here, and it would be nice to hear from the learned assembly of devotees. If anyone has any question, any comment, or anything further on this point to expand on. Anyone? Yes.
So if we are reciting the prayers of another context, the mode of that, how they pray to the Krishna, because we are not at that level, and Kunti Maharani prayer or any prayer we do. So when we recite from the same prayer from our mouth, we also get some, more connect to the Krishna in the same way. Instead of like I'm just reciting any prayers, in that they are having that love and mode, but we don't have it. So we also get that mode also if we just repeatedly, daily, if we are doing that.
So just to repeat the question, Prabhu is asking, we repeat the prayers of the great devotees and we may not have their mood. So is it that by reciting these prayers repeatedly we absorb their mood? Is that the idea? Yes. As soon as we recite the prayers of the great souls, then in one sense we come close to those great souls. We begin to understand. See, prayer is like this. Like sometimes people ask, why do you have to ask a prayer? Why do you have to make a prayer if Krishna already knows everything? Krishna's in your heart. Why do you need to make a prayer? He already knows what you're asking before you even said it. So why do you need to make a prayer? But what we understand is that the prayer is not so much to remind Krishna, it's more to remind us. By saying it out loud, it reminds us this is what we should become like. So therefore, Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Devotion, there are 3 types of prayers. Dainya Bodhika means the type of prayer out of great humility. Lalasa Mai means the prayer which is longing for some spiritual perfection in service to Krishna. And the 3rd type of prayer is Samprarthanatmika, a prayer in which one desires complete surrender to Krishna. So Rupa Goswami explains that one of the 64 items of devotional service is to offer these 3 types of prayer, because they help us to awaken our humility, Dainya Bodhika. They help us to awaken our spiritual greed, Lalasa Mai. And these prayers will also help us to awaken the mood of genuine surrender. Manasa deho geho jo kichumor arpila tue pade Nanda Kishore. My mind, my body, my words, everything I have, Krishna, I place it at your feet. Samprarthanatmika. This is the 3rd type of prayer. So yes, these 3 types of prayers, by associating with the sound vibration of the great souls, we achieve a little bit of that bhav. So okay, thank you. Yes. Only a bit? You're doing well? You're doing good. How do we develop humility? Broadly speaking, we can say there are 3 ways to develop humility. One is by knowledge. By realizing Kesha gra satabhagasya, and 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. By realizing our insignificance in this world, through knowledge, we actually become very, very humble. We realize, how can I take myself so seriously? But still, knowledge for some of us doesn't do it. So the other way we can be humble, become humbled, is through association. When one is in the company of a very, very advanced person, one begins to realize, oh, I'm not so big. Isn't it? It's like there was one person, his friend took him to see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he was like, I'll go to see the holy man, but I don't bow down to anyone. No one bows down to me, and I don't bow down to anyone. So his friend was saying, no, he's a sadhu, he's a saint, you should bow down. He said, no, I will see him, but I won't bow down. Anyway, this person, he knocked on the door, opened the door, went in. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was sitting there in all his brilliance. And this man, he said, I won't bow down to anyone. As soon as he came in, he started bowing down. He said, I don't know what's happening to me. Like, I'm just bowing down. Because the great souls, by their bhakti, by their purity, they make us realize very small. But not in a way that makes us feel useless. I like George Harrison. He said, he was speaking about Srila Prabhupada, and he said, when I was around Srila Prabhupada, he said, his greatness made you realize how small you were, but never made you feel awkward or useless. It just made you humble, but not awkward or useless. You just felt inspired in his association. And I thought that's such a nice reflection, that when you're around a great person, they make you realize your own insignificance, but in a joyful and empowering way. So the second way you can become humble is through the association of great saints. And then if none of that works, the school of hard knocks will become humbled by life. His Grace Burijan Prabhu once came out of his ashram in Govardhan, and you know in Govardhan there's these sugarcane machines. So he saw the sugarcane machine and he made a prayer. May the hard crushing wheel of life extract some humility from my offense-hardened heart, and may the nectar of that humility give rise to pure love for Krishna. That's nice. May the hard crushing wheel of life extract some humility from my offense-hardened heart, and may the nectar of that humility give rise to pure love for Krishna. So the hard crushing wheel of life makes us realize. They say in the first 20 years of your life, you're very worried what people think about you. In the second 20 years, you don't care what people think about you. And later on, you realize nobody was thinking about you. Over-inflated conception. As Prabhupada would say, puffed up. It's such a nice... Prabhupada uses these beautiful terminologies. Puffed up. It's a very graceful term. So like this, so hard to become humble. But O.B.L. Kapoor came to Srila Prabhupada before Prabhupada had taken sannyas. Abhay, the pharmacist, he said, he came into the shop one day and he said, Abhay, I want to take the medicine that you're taking. He said, well, I'm not. He said, no, I want the medicine that you're taking that makes you such an advanced devotee of Krishna. Abhay smiled. He said, oh, that medicine. He said, that medicine, I know the formula, but I haven't been able to manufacture it yet. One day I'll teach that formula all over the world. He said, can you tell me? What's the formula? Chanadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna manena manadena kirtaniya sadahari. To become more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, to offer all respects to others and not expect any respect for themselves. Prabhupada said, that's the formula. So Kaviraj Goswami says, Nama Sutre Ganti Parakantha E Shlok. Take that verse, string it on the thread of the holy name and wear it constantly around your neck. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, your advancement in devotional life will be directly proportionate to how closely you follow this verse. One devotee said to me, if you're not perfect, you should be humble. And then he said, but the moment you're humble, you're perfect. I like that very much. If you're not perfect, you should be humble. But the moment you're humble, you're perfect. Because now you no longer rely on your own imperfect abilities, but fully dependent on Guru, Vaishnavas and Krishna. Anything's possible. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, yeah. So you live in a professional world where you have to often be strong, you have to be cultivate certain qualities which sometimes you may feel are counterproductive to the devotional mentality. So how do we function in the material world and at the same time strive in our spiritual life? Well, now we're doing a lot of leadership training actually with corporates. And actually corporates are realizing we need more of this spiritual knowledge in our own leadership. Because they're realizing that the cutthroat leadership of the material world is not sustainable. The principles of the Bhagavatam are not just principles of leadership that need to be applied in the Hare Krishna temple. The principles of leadership found in the Bhagavatam are the principles of leadership that should pervade every single person who is exercising power over anyone in this world. And therefore in the leadership world they're also realizing if you don't have organizational culture, if you don't deal with your employees in the right way, it's not going to be sustainable. So therefore we don't have to see a dichotomy between leadership in the material world and leadership in the spiritual sphere. Actually, as devotees, what we're trying to do is live an integrated life. Sometimes we have this kind of psychosis. We have like one identity out there. One identity on Facebook, one identity at work, one identity on a Sunday, and a different identity on a Monday. And underneath all of those identities is our real identity, which is the identity that we should be living every moment. And therefore, there is a way, I think, although I have to admit to you, I have never had a job in the corporate world in my life. I have to humbly submit. I think there is a way to apply devotional principles in your leadership in the corporate world, because the formula of leadership is the same. Like I said, leadership is based on influence. Influence is based on relationship. And relationship is based on one thing and one thing only, and that's love. And if you show your people love, even in the corporate world, they'll listen to the language of love, because that language everyone knows. I hope I'm not being utopian, but try it out, see what happens. Thank you. Yes.
How we can change the mindset of like mistaken mindset of like humility and also being naive, like humility and being naive, so people are getting mistaken this idea.
So how do you distinguish between humility and naivety? Yeah, humility is not devoid of knowledge. Humility is not devoid of discrimination. Humility is not devoid of practicality. All humility means is its honesty. To know that I'm not as great as I think I am, or even as people may say I am. And it means to know your natural limitations. And humility means to act taking yourself out of the center. Right? One person says that, no? Humility doesn't mean to think less of yourself. It means to think of yourself less. So we take ourselves out of the center. So when we're doing all of these things, it doesn't mean we lose our intelligence. Prabhupada was the most humble. And at the same time, Prabhupada was the most practical. Prabhupada said, no one can defeat me, I'm a Calcutta boy. Prabhupada said, in two things never be shy. Business and prasadam. So Prabhupada was the best. He was just such an expert. Srila Prabhupada is an incredible person, no? Like he's like in the spiritual world with Krishna, and then at the same time he's so down to earth. He's so like rooted in the scripture, and then at the same time he's like this streetwise manager that just knows how to get things done. He's so simple and humble, but at the same time so bold and confident. This is the paradoxes of a great soul, that they're able to bring in all of these extremes and perfectly integrate them effortlessly. So, like that, being humble doesn't mean you're naive. Is that okay? Yes. Oh wow, very nice. How does a leader manifest and show their love? The language of love. There's a book actually in the world today, that the 5 languages of love. How people, because sometimes you may not see how people are actually expressing their love for you, but you may not actually pick up on it. I guess there could be many ways to answer that, but what immediately comes to me is that a leader, what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring out the best in those who are under their care. And so love is manifested by providing whatever they can through their words, through their resources, through their arrangements, providing whatever is necessary so that those who are under their care can become the best they can be. That's what a leader does. Prabhupada, we talked about how Srila Prabhupada came to America, and there's this terminology, fan the spark. So he just saw something good in someone, and then he just brought it out and made it into a fire. He saw a little bit of ability, a little bit of sincerity, a little bit of intelligence, and then he brought it out. So that's, I think, the real job of a leader. To place your faith, your inspiration, your love, and to give them all facility so that they can actually do the best they can in their service to Krishna. That's what we're trying to do. Is that okay? Thank you. Yes.
Maharaj, how do we remain authentic? Like you said that we should be original, but we have to have a different personality when we are at the workplace, when we are dealing with people outside, and at the same time when we are dealing with the devotees, we have a different consciousness altogether. So, because in the materialistic world, if we have that similar kind of a consciousness, our kindness and humility sometimes may be taken as a weakness. So, how do we really remain authentic, like not be a victim of imposter syndrome?
Yes, thank you. Humility is something very, very internal, isn't it? Humility is not just something externally that we do. It's internally realizing, I am just a servant of Krishna. But then externally, how we exhibit that humility may vary from situation to situation. But it doesn't mean, like, there's never a time when a devotee is not humble. But how they express their humility in any given situation may vary. So when you're at work, it's not all of a sudden like, now I need to be a proud person to survive here. No. I'm going to be a humble person because a Vaishnava is always humble. But I express that humility in a different way so that it won't be misused by others. Does that make sense? So, yes, you have to. You have to sometimes also be strong. You have to sometimes be assertive. You have to sometimes speak out and flag something up. But in your mind, you never allow that to develop ego within your consciousness. You have to realize, I'm just playing a role here. So it's just about making that distinction. So something. Hope that helps. Yes.
How is it that one has pride in the first place? Is it because of material bondage?
How is it that we have pride in the first place? Don't really have much to be proud about in one sense, you think. Yeah. How is it that we've developed pride in the first place? Srila Prabhupada explains that we come to this world with two psychological mentalities: to be the enjoyer and to be the controller. Ishvaroham maham bhogi siddhoham balavan sukhi. So when we come to the material world and we desire independence, then we take on this mentality of being the enjoyer and the controller. And from that, as we become more and more rooted in the illusion of the material world, then we develop a pride, because we think we are the center. We basically came to the material world because we wanted to be the center of attention. So therefore we develop pride. So the more and more we realize Krishna is the center, naturally become humble. Is that okay? I'm just looking at time. When should I stop? One more. Okay, one more. I'll humbly accept. So how do we actually understand when we are imperfect? Well, I mean, if we are honest, a little bit introspective, if at the end of every day we just do a little bit of thoughtfulness and just observe ourselves, I think it becomes very apparent our own weaknesses. No? Don't we see when we display pride? Don't we see our mentality of wanting to enjoy or exploit others? Don't we observe our envy? All of these things are there, no? I think we are seeing these things. So I think if we become a little bit thoughtful, then we begin to see very, very clearly where I'm falling short. And if that fails, then always have a good few devotees around you to remind you and give you some feedback. So that will also be a very good way to identify if there is some defect in our personality, like that. Is that okay? Yeah. See, she's the king of the daughter of a devotee, but you have to understand, death is also considered, in one sense, a very inauspicious thing. Yeah, it's one of the, it's very unnatural, death. And therefore death is almost like, it's like Maya is a devotee, right? Vaishnavi Jagamohini. Maya is Vaishnavi, Jagamohini. She is a Vaishnavi, but what is her purpose? Jagamohini. She is to bewilder the whole of the universe. Therefore, in the same way, there are many agents of the Lord that perform different things, and in that sense they're devotees, but their act is in one sense an inauspicious thing for the world, and therefore it has that influence. So it's same with Maya, isn't it? Like sometimes we hear this whole kind of thing of like Maya, just like run away from Maya, terrible, terrible. But then we hear Vaishnavi, she's a great devotee. So both things are there like that. Does that make sense? All right. Thank you so much. It was wonderful being in Sydney. Thank you so much for your kindness. Really appreciate it.